In the middle-class suburban town of Littleton, near Denver, Colorado, a 17-year-old's murderous fantasy is beginning to take shape. He and a friend, known as Vodka, or V, intend to commit an act so violent that it will secure their place in history.
Sometime in April next year, me and V will get revenge and kick natural selection up a few notches. If we've learned the art of making time bombs, we'll set hundreds of them around roads, bridges, buildings, and gas stations. Anything that will cause damage and chaos. It'll be like the LA riots, the Oklahoma bombing, World War II, Vietnam, Duke, and Doom all mixed together. I want to leave a lasting impression on the world.
1 year later, on April the 20th, 1999, Eric Harris and another Columbine student, Dylan Klebold, committed the worst high school massacre in American history. They killed 12 students and 1 teacher, injured 23 others, and then turned the guns on themselves. This film records events as they unfolded on that Tuesday morning, during the critical hour between 11:08 a.m. and 12:08 p.m. For years, the horror of the massacre has defied explanation. But recently, new information has been released about the attack and the events leading up to it. From these terrible details, it's possible to reconstruct a fuller picture of Columbine and the freakish whirlwind of circumstances that ended with 2 teenagers committing mass murder. It's 11:08 in the morning, and Eric Harris is 3 minutes away from Columbine.
NBK came quick. Everything I see and hear, I relate to NBK somehow. Feels like a movie sometimes.
NBK is Eric and Dylan's code name for the coming massacre. It stands for Natural Born Killers, a movie they both admire. The film tells the story of Mickey and Mallory, 2 mass murderers with traumatized childhoods who become media celebrities. For Eric and Dylan, the movie seems to represent a kind of redemption, that they, like the fictional characters, are ultimately superior.
I know we're gonna have followers, because we're so godlike. I mean, we're not exactly human. We have human bodies, but we've evolved one step above you. I mean, we actually have self-awareness.
A key element in Eric and Dylan's sense of alienation comes from their school.
I hate you people for leaving me out of so many fun things. And no, don't say, well, that's your fault, because it isn't. You people had my phone number, and I asked and all. But no, don't let the weird Eric kid come along.
In Columbine High School's unspoken hierarchy, Eric and Dylan see themselves at the bottom of the pile. The weird kids who hang out with the other outcasts. At the very top are the jocks. A group with their own rules of conduct and their own dress code, which includes white baseball caps.
Jocks are not necessarily athletes. A jock is anyone who believes that they, because they wear nice clothes, because they screw the best looking girl, because the teachers treat them different, deserve and are better than everyone else.
Although Eric and Dylan will not target the jocks in their shooting rampage, witnesses will later report that they both seem hell-bent on revenge against the school itself.
They went to Columbine High School to kill people. They didn't go shoot up the police station. They didn't go to the public library. And that's because they hated this school. They hated the injustice of this school. They hated the environment. And I am not in any way condoning what they did, or I'm just trying to find the answers.
You've given us shit for years. You're gonna pay for all the shit. We don't give a shit, because we're gonna die doing it.
At 11:09 a.m., the cafeteria at Columbine is just starting to fill with students on their lunch break. At some point earlier that morning, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold planted two 20-pound propane bombs in the cafeteria. Both bombs were set to explode at 11:17, just as the cafeteria reaches the peak of the lunchtime rush. The plan was to kill as many students as possible in the explosions and to execute survivors. The bomb planting was not caught on the cafeteria surveillance cameras, possibly because of a tape change.
That morning, I believe it was third hour philosophy class. I know it was philosophy class. We had a big test on Chinese philosophy. And Eric was always type A about his grades. He wouldn't ditch class if there was a test or an assignment due. So it really struck me that Eric wouldn't show up that day. When we got to fourth hour that day, though, he still wasn't in class. And even I only ditched one class in a row, usually. And Dylan wasn't there either.
Another Columbine student is 17-year-old John Savage. He's just completed a music class.
I got to school early, did some homework. You know, it's just one of those days that you don't expect anything to happen. We just finished up string orchestra. I was trying to decide whether or not to practice like way back in the back of the school in the band room or go to the library.
Among the teachers on duty is Dave Sanders. He's a popular sports coach in the school because of his ability to get the best out of the least likely athletes. Patty Nielsen is a 35-year-old teacher working part-time at the school.
Football class today? Yeah.
Normally she heads home after her morning art classes, but today she's been assigned to monitor the hallways, which are just starting to fill with hundreds of students heading for lunch in the cafeteria.
After creative writing, every day, I'd go out for my smoke. And so I took my same route I do every day. Out for a smoke, walk around. Except this day I saw Eric pull in.